So the boats are down by the starting line now. They just called them to attention to get ready for a race sequence. So you can see boat 4 is heading back to the starting line to get ready for the start. And the start will begin with a 3-whistle sequence and then go down from there. 3 whistles means 3 minutes.
How many boats per team?
So there's 3 boats per team. Beverly is in the red boats and Pingree is in the blue boats. The Beverly starters are Alexa and Olivia Faletra, then Will Rolander and Kelly Flannery, and then our 3rd boat is Grace Earl and Isabella Paula.
Okay, and might I add, I work on Beverly Neighborhood News for BevCam with Olivia Faletra's father, Matt. He's our anchor. If anyone's ever tuned in and watched that. Shout out to Matt. I know he wishes he probably could be here.
So right now the boats are just kind of sailing around. This race has not started yet.
Is this the last race of the season?
Yes, this is Beverly's last race for the season. We've raced so far every day this week. We had races Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So, and then we'll be wrapping up.
And how's the weather been the last couple days for sailing?
The weather's been great the last few days. Actually, this has been one of the best seasons that I've seen so far for weather. We were able to get out on the water a lot more days, which is the goal, so.
How about today? Has today been better than the last 2 or about the same?
The temperature is pretty good. The winds are moderate. It could probably be a little bit heavier, but. So that was the 3-whistle sequence, so that means 3 minutes. So the start has now begun, and they have 3 minutes until they can cross the line.
Okay.
And if you look down, there's the motorboat with 2 coaches on it, and then a red buoy, and that's the starting line. So boats will kind of sail over, past, around the starting line until the start whistle is blown.
So when they pull up to the starting line, they obviously can't come to a complete stop, so they try to hit it as close as they can? Before?
Yeah, so you can't directly cross the starting line like perpendicular because you'd be sailing directly into the wind. So you have to sail typically at like a 45-degree angle from the wind. So there's a few options for how you can start. One is that you do slow your sails down, or you do slow your boat down by letting your sails out. You can kind of shift your boat from side to side and turn it upwind, and then you can turn downwind a little bit at the start. Another thing a lot of boats do is just kind of sail back and forth and come in. You'll see right now most of those boats are on the same tack. Most boats choose to start on starboard tack where the wind's coming from the right because that gives the boats right, so it's an advantage. So that's 1 minute and 30-second whistle.
Okay. And I see this number 6 over here. They're kind of apart from the rest of the group there.
Yeah, sometimes boats will you can kind of chart your own course before the start. There isn't an exact path you have to take, and lots of different sailors have different strategies for how they like to start. And also figuring out the wind. Sometimes one end is like slightly favored over the other end.
Oh yeah, the camera's all over the place. Yeah. But we'll do the best we can.
So that was just the 30-second whistle. So they have 30 seconds till the start.
30 seconds, here we go.
That's 20 seconds. So you can see now boat 6 is sitting on the line. Or actually, no, they're above the line.
Is that bad?
Not necessarily, because they can come back in.
Oh, okay. Can you get a
Oh, no,
false start like you could? And
You can. Oh, no, yeah, boat 6 is sitting on the line. They haven't crossed yet, so it looks like all those boats were clear. So boat 3 is leading the pack, heading up to the windward mark. It looks like maybe boat 6 was over, or they choose to come back. So now all the boats are heading up. So now some boats tacking over to chart this course. That'll keep them out of the other boat's wind and give them the ley line to cross the windward mark. So all the boats are now coming towards us. You can see boat 5, the blue boat, just tacked over. Now they are on starboard, so they forced boat 2 to tack over as well. Boat 4 is going to stay on this line a little bit longer.
okay.
The boats need to make sure they keep clear of all of the larger boats in the harbor. So you'll see some
Yeah,
tacking around that.
Got pretty close to that green boat.
Yeah, they want as much point as they can get so that they don't lose distance. So they're probably going to take it pretty close. Now, as you can see, it looks like boat 4 is leading the pack. They're heading up to the first windward mark. That's the mark the farthest away from us. And now boat 4 rounded the first mark. They're heading over to the next mark. So in sailing, that's a reach course, so they should be able to sail straight to it. And then they'll head downwind. All right, now boat 3 and now boat 2 have crossed. So you can see the blue boat 4 just made it onto the downwind leg. So they're getting their sails wing on wing, which means that one sail's on either side, which can gain speed downwind. It looks like Beverly's currently in the lead with a 2-3-5. So you add up the numbers of the places that the boats receive, and you want 10 or less, but it's a close race.
How fast do you think these boats get moving?
How fast do you think they're going?
Looks like it's pretty slow today. Coach says about 1.
That's 1 knot.
Yes.
And maybe a silly question for someone like me, but I've always wondered what the difference between knots is. Like, why is it knots? Why do we measure speed different on water?
I don't know, just tradition, I guess.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh.
our coach is saying that it's because they used to tie knots in the line.
Drop the line from the bow of the boat. See how many knots it moved.
Okay.
Hit the back of the boat. It's 2.2 miles per hour. Equals 1 knot.
1 knot is 2.2 miles per hour, roughly.
So if you look, boat 4, looks like they have now rounded both leeward marks. Boat 6 currently has some control over boat 1 as a leeward boat, so they're forcing them off course, and now you can see both boats are heading back on course. All right, it looks like boat 2 is just about to cross the second leeward mark. And the other 4 boats are kind of paired up down on this end. So you'll see some team racing likely where boats try to pull up one of their boats by taking out one of the other boats.
And how do you take out one of the other boats?
So one way you can do it is by getting leeward of them and then turning them upwind. Then you can force them off their course. Another way is getting inside at the mark. So it looks like those 4 boats are pretty tightly packed together. And on the other end, it looks like boat 4 is about to finish. So they'll get a 1 for Pingree. And yes, boat 4 is just crossing.
Wow.
All right.
Good job.
4.
And it looks like boat 2 is very close. They should be up here soon. The other 4 boats are still pretty tightly clustered, but they just crossed both leeward marks. Boat 2 is waiting to finish, and now they just crossed.
Good job.
So we currently have Pingree with a 1 and Beverly with a 2. All right, and so the boats are now tacking back to come finish. So it looks like boat 6 is going to be able to cross on this tack without having to change course. All right, and that's a 1-3 for Pingree. So Pingree just won this race. All right, now all 6 boats have finishes. Pingree had a 1-3-5, I think. Is that correct?
Is that okay?
Yes.
So, yeah. 1, 3, 4.
All right, it looks like Pingree had a 1-3-4, and so that's a win for this race for Pingree. So most of the boats now are heading back down to the start line to get ready for the next start sequence. Right now they're in their start sequence.
And it's first to 3 wins? Is that right?
So the winning is complicated. So they add up for the races. It's normally either best of 3 or best of 5. Depends on the timing and if they're trying to get alternate races in. So I'm not sure what we're doing today. They normally agree before the race. So it looks like we're about to start. As you can see, boat 4 is slowing down on the line. Now so is boat 6. The other boats are coming in. Looks like that was just 20 seconds there. So they're about to start. Boat 4 is heading down so that they're not over. That was just 10 seconds. All right, and then that was just the start. So we'll see. Didn't look like anyone's heading back. Oh, okay. A couple of boats. Oh, either a lot of boats were over. They might have recalled it. That's it. They recalled the start because too many boats were over. So now we're back at the beginning. So right now the boats are sailing around. They're on a reach, which means they're not upwind or downwind, but kind of right in the middle. So that's 2 minutes. So boats will still kind of continue to just sail around for now. Once you get down to like 1 minute or 30 seconds, then the boats start to come in. Both boats 6 and 4 have their front sail called the jib luffing. That's because they're trying to slow their boats down before the race starts. That's 1 minute and 30 seconds. So that's 1 minute. So now the boats will probably start to head back in. Boat 6 is hanging out over by the race committee boat down there.
Yeah, what's the reason for that?
So my guess is that they want position at the race committee boat. Maybe they feel like that end is favored or gives them a better course. So they're just going to let their sails out and try to wait there. And then they will trim in right before the start whistle, and then they will be off.
Gotcha.
So that's 20 seconds. So now you can see several of the boats are luffing their sails and just waiting. All right, and now they're off. That was the start. So it looks like boat 4 was over, so they're heading back to recross the line. Otherwise, their race would not count. We have 2 boats over here, one from Pingree and one from Beverly, that are heading out on port tack. The others are heading up on starboard.
And how do they decide their strategy on the boat? There's a skipper, is that right?
Yes. So these boats are sailed by 2 people, a skipper and a crew. So the skipper has control of the tiller, which attaches to the rudder, and that controls all steering on the boat. And then the skipper also has the mainsail, which is the big colorful sail you see. And then the crew sits up front, and they have control of the smaller sail called the jib. So skippers and crews will work together to decide what they're going to do.
Do they decide ahead of time, or do they kind of have to go in the moment with, where the wind is blowing?
A lot of it's in the moment, but throughout, different skippers especially have different ways they like to do things, different strategies. And then also, as you continue to race in one day, you kind of figure out the wind. Traditionally, winds will stay kind of similar from throughout a day, but there are days where the winds will change even on one day. So if you turn the camera to the right a little bit, you can see they're heading up to the windward mark. And it looks like boat number 1 is going to be in the lead. That's a Beverly boat with Alexa and Olivia Feletra. So boat 1 just tacked. They are now heading to the second upwind mark. They can sail straight to it. Boat 3 is coming in on starboard, which means they have rights over the other boats. So boat 3 is now lured to those boats, so they're forcing them to head up into the wind. They're trying to get boat 2 up further.
Oh, and boat 4 just kind of cut back and got up in their business a little bit.
Yes. So boat 4 is going to want to take boat 2 down so that they can get one of their boats up. Right. It looks like right now Beverly's pulling a 1-2-3. Looks like there is overlap between boats 3 and 4 coming into this mark, which means that boat 3 is going to have to allow boat 4 to round. Boats 1 and 2 for Beverly are currently in the lead, which would be a win for Beverly if they can maintain that. Most of these boats are pulling their sails wing on wing again, which means they're on opposite sides.
A little collision here.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of a collision. Boat 3 was on starboard and came in, so they are protesting boat 5, which would mean they would have to circle. Looks like boat 5 is circling. So, and then once boat 5 finishes their circle, they're free to go back to the race. All right, it looks like Beverly, boats 1 and 2 are in first and second place. So right now, Beverly just wants to let those first 2 boats go and keep the last boat back. I mean, the last boat doesn't really matter if Beverly has a 1 and a 2. And Pingree will try to affect things to slow down the race so that they can get their boats up. All right, so boats 1, 2, and 4 are now coming up for the last upwind leg. Now almost all the boats are heading on the upwind leg. Looks like Beverly still has a 1-2. Now boat 2 is tacking back to try to cross the finish line on this tack. All right. They are not going to be able to cross on this tack, so both of these boats in the front are going to have to tack to finish. And boat number 1 should be able to cross now. Boat number 2 is tacking, and boat 1's going to let them in because they're on the same team. All right, so boats 1 and 2 have now both crossed, which is a win for Beverly. Boat 4 has now just crossed. All right, and it looks like the last boat is just crossed. So now this race is over with a win for Beverly, and all the boats will head back to the starting line.
All right. It's got to be a nice feeling once you cross the finish line and then just cruise back. So we had Beverly just won the last one.
Yes, so we have 1 win for Pingree right now and 1 win for Beverly.
And I'll take this moment to give a shout out to Delia, if I didn't already, who's helping us commentate, doing a great job. We had a commentator who wasn't able to make it at the last minute, and Delia stood up and volunteered and was killing it.
Thank you.
Teaching me some things about sailing. And what's your experience with sailing?
So I joined my freshman year on the high school team, and I had never sailed before.
Oh.
And then with a lot of help from our coaches and older students on the team, I now learned. So now I skipper for our team.
Impressive.
So.
And you go out sailing on bigger rigs?
I haven't too much. I'll go on motorboats sometimes, but
Okay.
I'd like to try it though.
I almost got a summer job on the Tall Ship Adventure in Gloucester. If you're familiar with that?
I'm not, but it sounds interesting.
It's pretty cool. But yeah, at the end, but I didn't get it, so it was almost really interesting.
So the boats are just running the line right now. They're just getting ready. They still have a lot of time left in the start, so it'll be a while before they start to come up. That was just 2 minutes.
Are there any local clubs outside of school that people can join if they want to learn how to sail?
Yeah, so we run, in the past at least, have ran a clinic in the fall here with these coaches. That's for like high school age students to get some practice outside of the season. And then I know also out of Jubilee there's a summer camp for kids and adults called Sandy Point Sailing. So one of our coaches is involved with that, and so are several of our sailors. Some of them teach and some of them go.
It's very cool.
So that's the 1 minute whistle. That's 30 seconds. So now you can see both boat 6 and boat 1 are coming up to the line. They're going to try to wait it out. That's 2 minutes. So boat 1's going to wait. Boat 6 just jibed back. All right, so now boats 1 and boat 6 are off. The other boat got a little bit stuck trying to come in at the committee boat. All right, it looks like boat 3 is now coming up with 5 and 2 closely behind. Boat 4 is just about to cross the line. All right, so now boat 6 just forced boat 1 to tack as they're heading up to the windward mark. All right, now boat 6 is tacking, followed by boat 1, which is going to tack over. That way they can keep the wind going to boat 1 and away from the other team. All right, and then these other 2 boats are tacking back, 2 and 5. And boat 6 is now heading to the windward mark, followed closely by boat 1. All right, so boat 6 has now rounded the first mark, closely followed by boat 1, and boat 3 is just behind. All right, so it looks like boat 1 is now in the lead, coming down to the second windward mark. Boats 3 and 6 are very close. All right, now boat 3 has inside overlap, so they get room to round the mark, and they are going to try to hold out boat 6 to allow boat 2 from Beverly to come back up. All right, so boat 1 has a pretty decent lead right now. The other boats are pretty close. Boat number 2 just jibed to starboard so that they have rights. Now they're going to try to push boat 5 up into the wind. All right, so boat 2 protested boat 5, for not moving up enough. Doesn't look like boat 5 agreed, so they're not going to circle. And boat 1 is just rounding the leeward mark. Boat 3 is still trying to hold boat 6 out so that boat 2 can come in. It looks like boat 3 and 6 are now heading back. All right, so boat 1 is now headed up to the finish line. Looks like currently we're in a 1-2-3 for Beverly. At this point, there's very little team racing strategy involved. Beverly is just trying to sail as fast as they can to finish because they have boats in 1, 2, and 3. And Pingree is going to try to sail as fast as they can to get ahead of any Beverly boats they can. All right, it looks like boat 1 is coming up to cross. They do not need to tack, so they are crossing. Looks like boat number 3 is going to be next. So Beverly now has a 1-2, so they won this race as well. Looks like the Pingree boat is going to get third, boat number 6, followed by boat 2 from Beverly. Boat number 4 is in 5th place from Pingree. And boat number 5 just got 6th place. So now all boats have crossed the finish line and we'll head back to the start. So that means we're just about to start.
All right, and currently Beverly is up 2-1.
Yes.
The video production of this event is brought to you by BevCam. If you're interested in anything multimedia, video, audio, podcast, come by our downtown location on Cabot, right next to Delphine's across from Soma, and talk to one of us and see if we can help you make your project or your dream of any kind of multimedia thing come to life.
All right, so
They like it when I do that.
we just got 2-minute whistle. That was the 130. Boats are continuing to just sail around. That was the 1 minute. Now you'll likely see some boats start to get into place. That was just the 30-second whistle. Looks like boat 4 is coming up to the line to wait. Boat 3 is right there. All right, they've crossed. It looks like it was an all clear, which meant no boats were over the line early. Boat number 4 is ahead on the upwind, and boat number 6 chose to tack out and head out on port so that they are not behind all the other boats. And now boat 6 is heading back. Maybe they weren't quite over the line. All right, boat 4 is heading out. Looks like they're gonna head out on starboard tack until they reach the ley line where they should be able to tack over and make the mark. So they are now heading up to the mark. We'll see if they have to tack again. They might need to. There isn't a ton of wind today, so the skipper and crew are sitting on opposite sides of the boat. This gives the boat a little bit of heel or a tilt to the wind, which can increase speed. All right, and looks like boats 4 and 3 are coming up on the windward mark. Boat 4 just rounded with boat 3 closely behind. The other boats are coming in now on starboard tack. They had to go around all of the larger boats that are in the harbor. This is one of our last races for the season, so there's the most boats that we typically have in the harbor at a time while we're sailing. All right, boat 4 just rounded the second upwind mark. Boat 3 is intentionally slowing down their boat so that they can get boat 2 up closer to them. So they're gonna likely set what's called a mark trap on boat 5, where they take them up at the mark. So boat 5 is trying to head down so that they can get inside overlap at the mark. Now boat 2 is trying to do the same thing. Looks like boat 5 pulled ahead. Boat 4 is still heading down. So right now there's a 136, which is a wind for Pingree. It looks like some boats are trying to change that on the downwind. All right, it looks like boat 4 is about to round the downwind mark, so they're going to switch their jib to the same side as their main and turn up. Now you can see, oh, okay, there was just a collision between boats 2 and 5. It's the starboard boat. It looks like boat 2 had rights. All right. Now boat 5, it looks like, is doing a circle. Yes, they circled around. Boats 1, 3, and 6 are about to round the first leeward mark, and boat 4 is heading up to the finish line. All right, looks like boat 4 is definitely going to have the win for this race. But right now, boats 1 and 3 are following them. And if Beverly can maintain this, they will have a win. Boat 4 is choosing not to cross the finish line right now because it doesn't look like their team's going to win. So they're going to go back down and try to interfere with the other boats.
So if you were on boat 4, what would be your strategy right now?
So it looks like they're going to head down and then they can tack over boat 1. And if they do that, they should be able to take boat 1's wind, which means that boat 1 will go slower. And then the goal would be that if the boat 4 would be able to slow boat 1 down so that they could get one of their boats up. Looks like boat 3 right now doesn't have anyone on them, so they should be able to tack and cross the finish line relatively easily. Because they can currently get a win, they will take it. Now it looks like boat 4 is going to cross so that they can get the win. So now boat 4 won the race. Boat 1 is in second. Beverly now has a 2-3-6. So boat 3 is going to try not to cross so that it can pull boat 2 up. So they are tacking the line but not crossing, trying to prevent other boats. All right, and then boat 3 did just cross. So it looks like a 1-4-5. Yes, 1-4-5 for Pingree, which is a win for Pingree. All right, now all boats have crossed and they're gonna head back to the start line for one more race. So the teams are currently tied up, so this race will decide.
Yeah, I'd like that.
I used to race. This is a real race.
Was that the 3 minute?
I didn't hear it, but it might have been.
I didn't hear it. The radio, I didn't hear
I can't see on my thing.
All right, that was 2 minutes, so they are in a start sequence.
And this is best of 5, so this race will...
Yes, this race will decide. And then after this race, I think they're going to do a couple of alternate races, which are, I know for Beverly at least, it's skippers who aren't currently starting, but to give more people a chance to get out and to sail. So it's sort of like a scrimmage. And Pingree may switch in alternates as well, depending on how many people they brought.
Would that mean you'd be going out there?
No, I'm not an alternate today. They're sending a bunch of seniors out for a senior regatta.
Oh, right.
Beverly has about 30 people on our team, and we can send out 6 to start and then 6 for alternates. So we have a very large team.
How many boats do you have?
We own 12 boats. Currently, 10 of them are in the water. Right on our docks out there, we really only have space for about 10 boats. All right, looks like boat 1, boat 1 is gonna jive down. That was 1 minute, or that was 30 seconds. Boat 4 is gonna wait at the line with their sails out. 20 seconds. Seconds. All right, and that is the start. So it looks like boat 4 was over. They're heading back. Boat 2 was also over, so they're also heading back. Looks like boat 1 has a slight lead right now. Looks like there's some debate about which boats were over, but boat 4 and boat 2 both went back, so now all boats are good. Looks like Beverly has a lead boat and Pingree has second. like boat 1 is now heading up. They'll be able to tack over and cross the line or cross around the mark. Boat 3 actually looks like they might be inside, coming in on starboard. So boat 3 will be the first to round this mark, followed by boat 1. That's currently a 1-2 for Beverly. Then Pingree is in 3 and 4. All right, boat 4 is coming in on starboard tack, so boat 2 needs to tack over. All right, so it looks like a 1-2-6 for Beverly right now. All right, they are now heading down on the downwind leg. Boat 1 is gonna stay out on a reach a little bit longer before heading downwind so that they don't take the wind of boat 3 because they're on the same team. Doesn't look like they're going wing on wing with their sails anymore. Or boat 3 is trying to get wing on wing. Boat 1 is jibing. Boat 4 is trying to get wing on wing, but it looks like their sail's not cooperating. All right, it looks like boat 3 will be the first boat around the leeward mark, followed closely by boat 1. And they're trimming in their sails and heading upwind a little bit, boat 1 and 3. Now they're on a reach. Looks like boats 5 and 6 are about to round the first leeward mark. And boats 3 and 1 have just rounded the second leeward mark, so now they're going to head up to the finish line. It's currently a 1-2-6 for Beverly and a 3-4-5 for Pingree, which would be a win for Beverly. This is the last race, so if Beverly wins this race, then they've won this regatta. Looks like boat 3 will be able to maintain this angle and cross the finish line. Boat 1 may need to tack. Boat 2 has now made its way up to 5th place. And boat 3 has just crossed. And that's followed by boat 1. So that is a win for Beverly, and now they will likely be heading back to the docks. crossed, just boat 4. And our coach is directing them to head back to the docks. All right, the last boat 4 just crossed, so now all boats will be heading back to the docks.
So that looks like a win for Beverly today.
Yes, that's a win for Beverly. Alternates. They will likely now be putting in their alternate teams.
Camera rolls. So what have we got here, Delia?
All right, so these are our alternate races. So Beverly has now won the regatta, so that will be what's put on the record, but we typically do some alternate scrimmages after if there's time. So I do not believe that Pingree switched out who's sailing in their boats, but Beverly did. So we now have 3 new teams of boats that are going to go out. We'll see if when they come by I can call who's in what boat. All right, so that was 1 minute and 30 seconds. The boats are just driving the line right now. So this is our senior regatta. So the majority of starters were seniors, and then they got the seniors in who weren't starting as alternates. That was just 30 seconds. All right, it looks like boats 1, 3, and 4 are trying to wait on the line. All right, that was the whistle. It looked like all boats are clear. Oh, looks like boat 4 was over. They're heading back now. Boats 1 and 5 are heading out on port tack. Or no, it looks like boat 5 was also over. So boat 5 is recrossing the line. So is, looks like boat 1. All right, now all boats are clear. Two and 3 looks like they're currently in the lead. They're heading out pretty far on this tack, but soon they'll head back and then they should easily be able to round the mark. All right, looks like boats 3 and 2 are very close together. They're coming in now. heading up. It looks like they will likely be able to make it before those boats, which could force them to tack over. All right, boat 4 was able to get in front of them. All right, it looks like boat 3 is Nico and Oliver. Boat number 2 is Anna and Catherine. And boat number 1 is Mandy and Emma.
Andy's driving.
Yes, Mandy's the skipper for boat 1 and Emma is the crew. Yes, to repeat, on boat 3, Nico is driving, and Oliver is crewing, and on boat 2, Anna is driving, and Catherine is crewing. All right, they're now on the downwind leg. Looks like Pingree has a 1.56 and Beverly has a 2.34. So Beverly is currently in the lead. Boat 1 for Beverly is going to want to make sure that it maintains that place. Boat 4 may try to interfere with these 2 Beverly boats coming up. All right, boat 4 has now rounded the first leeward mark. They are now heading out on a reach to the second leeward mark. Boat 1 was able to maintain their position, so Beverly is still in the lead. Boat 6 is going to attempt to get inside overlap on boat 1, which would force them to give them room to round the mark. And boat 4 just rounded the second leeward mark, so boat 4 is now heading upwind towards the finish line. All right. Looks like boat 1 managed to round without getting overlapped on any other boats. Boat 4 is now tacking so that they can head up to the finish line. All right, boat 3 is also now tacking. They hit their ley line to cross the finish line on starboard tack. And they are closely followed by boat 2. Looks like boat 4 needs to tack. Yep, all right, boat 4 tacked and they have now crossed the finish line. Looks like boats 3 and 2 are on a course where they will not need to chart the finish, or they will not need to tack to cross the finish line. All right, now boat 3 has crossed. Boat 2 has also now crossed, so that is a 2-3 for Beverly and a 1 for Pingree. If this Beverly boat is able to cross, then Beverly will have won. All right. And they were, so that race is a win for Beverly. All right, so now all boats have crossed and they're gonna head back to the start line. It looks like we're just starting this next whistle sequence for the start of the second alternate race. It looks like we're doing 3 alternate races today. All right, that's just 2 minutes past.
Are these the same crews we saw in the last race?
Yes, so these are the same crews in the last race. I think, so Beverly won the first race, then we're doing 1 more now, and then I believe we're doing 1 more after that. We got going pretty quickly today, so we were able to get more races in. That's 1 minute. All right, they're heading back now. That's 20 seconds it sounded like, so the boats will likely be heading up to the line soon. Oh no, there's 20 seconds. That makes more sense. Oh. All right, it looks like boat 1 was over on that, so boat 1 needs to head back. All other boats were clear. Looks like, oh, boat 1 is now sailing back. They got the message from the committee boat. Boats 2 and 3 are kind of together down here. Now boat 3 is going to tack. And boat 2 is also now tacking. Boat 6 and boat 4 are heading out farther. Boat 4 just did a roll tack where they roll the boat into the turn of the boat so that they can gain speed. All right, looks like boat 4 will likely be the first boat to this mark. All right, still looks like boat 4 is first coming in. Boat 4 was not able to point high enough to hit that mark, so they're going to have to tack over and then tack back in order to round the mark. Gaining a little bit of speed, and Boat 4 just roll tacked. All right, looks like Boat 3 is next. Boat 3 isn't intentionally slowing down. They are likely going to try to execute a pass back where they slow down Boat 6 in order to get Boat 2 up. You can see the skipper on Boat 3 moving the tiller around quickly in order to slow these boats down. Boat 2 is gaining some progress on them. All right, and it looks like Nico was able to successfully execute that pass back. So now he's gotten Anna up into third place. All right, there's a lot of crowding down here, so they're not going directly downwind. All right, boats 5 and 3 are now heading downwind. Looks like Boat 3 got their sails wing on wing. All right, looks like Boat 2 is now coming in. They should be able to beat Boat 6 to the mark. Boat 2 chose to not sail directly downwind with goal of gaining more speed. Boat 3 is heading a little bit downwind of the mark so that they will make sure they get the inside overlap and inside mark room so that they can round as tightly as possible. All right, it looks like Boat 3 is jibing and heading to the next mark. Boat 4 has made it on to the final upwind. And then we can see the other Beverly boat is just coming down. Looks like 6 pulled ahead of 2, but 2 managed to stay ahead of 5.
What is the difference between tack and jibe?
So when you tack, you turn the boat going upwind into the wind, and then jibing would be going downwind. So if you wanted to go further downwind, you would jibe. So typically, like on a downwind course or at the leeward mark, skippers would jibe, whereas at an upwind mark, they would tack. If teams need to circle, then that would be a tack and a jibe.
Okay.
When you tack one of these boats, you push the tiller towards the sail, and jibing is the tiller towards the side that the skipper's on.
Gotcha. See, I'm learning.
All right, it looks like Boat 4 just finished with a win that race. Looks like a likely win for Pingree this race, but could change. All right, Boat 3 is going to slow down, and they are not going to finish in hopes of changing. Oh, it looks like Boat 3 is going to finish. All right, Boat 3 is going to finish. Looks like Pingree is going to get a 1-3-5 this race, which would be a win for Pingree. right, yep, that looks like how it's going to finish. Pingree 135, Beverly 246.
So, did you say this was going to be the last alternate? Or
I
there's one
believe
more?
there is one more alternate race. Yes, this is their second race. I believe we are doing 3 today. This is Anna and Catherine coming by in boat 2.
Well done.
Yeah. Can we get the launch? What time does the launch? Okay.
You're gonna want to go to the top.
I can do either. I can go help. I can go help with senior day though out there. So whatever.
That'd be easy
What, to bring me back? To the.
No, the launch.
Yeah.
We'll call the launch. She'll pick us up.
Yeah, that works.
I'll talk shop.
Okay.
All right, we're back.
All right. It looks like that was just the 2-minute whistle. So vote 3 looks like they're checking the wind. So they're going to, they turned up, left their sails to see which direction the wind was, to see which side of the line would be favored. The boats will probably just drive the line for another minute or so. That's 1 minute. Looks like some of these boats are getting pretty far out. Okay, they're turning back. Boat 4 is coming up to the line. They're letting go of their jib.
You call that furling?
That would be luffing.
Luffing. What is furling? Or did I just make that up?
I think you made that up.
Okay.
So they're gonna luff their sails. All right, they're going. Boat 4 is trying something different. They are trying to do a port start. So you can sometimes do that, but you have to make sure you don't collide with any other boats, which they managed to do.
And are there advantages and disadvantages to doing it that way?
So typically you'd want to be on starboard because starboard boats have rights. And typically coming in on port would not work because you would be at risk of colliding with the other boats, and then you would just have to tack behind them. But in that situation, they were already at the pin end, and they would have been well behind if they had gone back and started on starboard. So by starting on port, they were able to get ahead of all of the other boats, and because they were able to come in and get ahead of them, they did not have to tack over. So for them, it worked out well. But typically, it's a risky move. All right, so down on this end, we have Boats 2 and 4. Looks like the boats on the other end are going out very far before tacking back. Looks like boat 4 will be the first boat to round the windward mark. Likely followed by boat 3. All right, boat 4 just did a roll tack. Boat 3 will not need to tack. Neither boat will boat 1 or 6. All right, now boat 2 is tacking in front of boat 5. They're going to stay below to make sure they get their overlap at the mark. Boat 6 is slowing down with the goal of controlling boat 2, but it does not look like they were successful. Currently, it is a 1-5-6 for Pingree and a 2-3-4 for Beverly, which would be a win for Beverly. Sailors are trying to get their jib sails full. Looks like currently boat 1 is doing well, and boat 3 just switched to wing on wings, and they're getting air. Boat 4 is turning up. These front 3 boats are very close together. It looks like 4 still has the lead, but if 3 could come in on inside overlap, they could take the lead.
I think we have some seagulls cheering them on.
All right, it looks like boat 3 is going to get inside overlap. So then they will have wind at this next mark and might be able to pull ahead. Oh, okay, never mind. Boat 4 pulled ahead, but closely followed by boat 3 and boat 1. This is the last race. All right, it looks like boat 1 was just able to take the lead. It seems like there's some conflict between boats 3 and 4. All right, it looks like it's hard to tell who's in the lead right now. Looks like maybe boat 5 or boat 6, depending on this ley line. It looks like Pingree just pulled a 1-2, which puts them in the lead. Looks like that race just wrapped up. Looks like that one was a win for Pingree, and now the boats are heading back to the dock.
All right. Well, I guess that concludes our day of racing, racing, the regatta. Is there anything you'd like to say, Delia, to wrap this up?
Not really.
Well, Beverly, in the main race wins, or did you say the whole thing is the regatta?
Yes, so this is the regatta, and Beverly won the regatta, so they will get that, and then it seems like Pingree won the after scrimmage.
All right. Well, this is John with BevCam, and one more time, I would very much like to show my appreciation and thank Delia for stepping up and killing it on commentary this evening. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. See you next time.